Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? The Boxing Source checking in here for the Midweek Report. This is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and we got a few things here that we're going to be running through on this particular Midweek Report. Just want to get through a few things here pretty quickly, go through a number of stories that have hit the wire here over the past couple of days, and then also look ahead to the upcoming schedule for the week in boxing. We do have a number of events here coming up this particular weekend, and I know that few people are looking forward to what's going on next weekend in Las Vegas. But we do have a number of fights that are taking place this weekend, especially on Saturday, as we have fight card that's going to be in Orlando, Florida, which I will touch on here in a little bit. And then also we got a big heavyweight fight that will take place in London on Saturday that we will be previewing here on the Midweek Report. But, we also have a couple of stories here that we want to drop in, particularly with the first story here, as we had some news that did come down here for the fight card that will be in Orlando, Florida. That's at the Caribe Royale Resort in Orlando, Florida, as you're going to have, Conor Benn in the ring, and he has been added to the card. Now, there was a number of, reports out that, he could potentially be added to this card. I just didn't to be honest, I just didn't feel like it was going to, take place. That, they would have, I don't know if they would have like second thoughts of doing it, or, just pull back on having Conor Benn placed on this card, but they went ahead and did it. This is, what has it been? Supposed to be about a year since he was supposed to fight Chris Eubank Jr., but he ended up having that test of illegal substances, which scrapped that particular bout from happening. So after that, that has been one of the biggest stories there in the UK or whatnot, as Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. would have been one of those fights that a number of UK fans would have looked forward to at the time. But with what happened with Conor Benn, that particular fight got scrapped. Now they were seeing here like how he was going to get himself, back in the good graces of the sport of boxing. But at least here right now, this is about 17 months since his last fight. Of course, he had his knockout win over Chris Van Heerden last April, but now he's going up against Rodolfo Orozco. Rodolfo Orozco is 32 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws with 24 wins by way of knockout. Coming from Sinaloa, Mexico, and this is something where they just added him in. He's had a fight that was 3 months ago against Elian Juarez in Mexico City. So, I guess they, gave him a phone call and say, hey, we got something. Are they able to fit him in here to go up against Conor Benn? And, they'll pay him a certain amount of money for that fight to take place, and I guess they, went on ahead with it. You know what I'm saying? They went on ahead with it. So, with that being said, now Conor Benn is, added to that card, you know what I'm talking about? And the thing about it is it looks like Conor Benn will, probably be campaigning once again at 147 pounds, but this particular fight will be around 154. They say it is in this super welterweight division. Yes, and they said over a year since the last fight, Conor Benn will officially resume his career when he faces Rodolfo Orozco at the Caribe Royale in Orlando, Florida, as the co-main event on Saturday, September 23rd. So, that's wild. So not only did they add this to the card, they made it the co-main event to Richardson Hitchens, fighting Jose Zapata. So that is crazy that they pretty much like added that on as a co-featured bout. You do have Jessica McCaskill versus Sandy Ryan on this card. You also have Mo Williams versus Steve Rose on the card. You have like a number of other fights that'll be part of that. But adding in Conor Benn versus Rodolfo Orozco, pretty much on they announced it today, but outside of that, you probably had this thing in the works ever since last week or something like that. But still, just adding it onto the card and putting it on as a cool feature on a card that quick, that's just wild. That's definitely wild. But with Conor Benn, I mean, he's had all of this type of stuff that's been going on, over the past 6 to 12 months, and that was my thing, man, is that you go ahead and he had the test that came out. He was still appealing. He's still under the thing where he's been appealed. Now there's been reports saying that he's been cleared, but yeah, I don't know if that's been completely the case. I mean, it said as of a few months ago that he says that they had lifted the ban basically as of a couple months ago. But the thing is, WBC had had him logged in as failing the drug test, back in October. But I guess now he's been reinstated, so to speak. And with that being said, I guess he's being completely cleared to fight. So with that, they added him on to this particular card here in Orlando. But what does that mean in reference to Conor Benn having fights in the UK? That's the thing that I guess a number of fans in England were talking about, was that he ended up failing the test for before his fight that was supposed to take place in the UK. But outside of that, where would he be kind of like eligible to fight? You know what I'm saying? This is coming back from having, what is it, two tests coming out saying that Conor Benn had been positive for like a drug that was pretty much banned, so to speak. So that is why they said they weren't trying to go forward with it. Now from October, they said that they tried to have this thing passed and try to get the fight through between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank, but they were like, nah, we ain't going forward with it. We're not going to go forward with that. So that fight between Benn and Eubank got completely scrapped. And so Conor Benn hasn't been in the ring since then. But now he's been added on to this particular fight card coming up on Saturday in Orlando. And shoot, I mean, if I had known that he would be headed on the card, maybe I would have had thoughts of actually making it out there to Orlando this weekend, but not able to make it there for this fight. But I mean, for me, I just felt like that was something that just was a little bit of surprising news, so to speak, given what had happened with Conor Benn last year. But I guess some things kind of get cleared up a little bit, all of a sudden, and then you'll have a fighter of this magnitude, just getting right back in the ring. So with him fighting on this card coming up in Orlando, against Rodolfo Orozco. Like I said, we'll be, I guess hearing a lot more from Conor Benn in reference to this thing here. Starting from I think it's tomorrow. I mean, we probably we'll have some things where he'll be available to the media and stuff like that, so that he'll be talking about getting back in the ring here, and then also what could be out there for him next. I mean, I know that he's been basically removed from all of the rankings out there, whether it was for 147 or 154. So now with him being active again, he'll have this fight against Orozco. If he wins that fight against Orozco, then he'll enter right back into the rankings. And it'll be interesting how we'll be positioned, particularly given that soon we'll have, at least in the welterweight division, the belts will be pretty much scattered. I don't know about the super welterweight division. We have to see what happens on September 30th to see if we have something going on with that. But with the welterweight division, I just feel like it's going to have a number of those belts be up for grabs, and then you'll have the rankings pretty much show that there'll be a number of good fights that could be put together for those titles there. Of course, we have something for the interim WBC title that will take place on next Saturday between Mario Barrios and Yordenis Ugas. So the winner of that will definitely be in the mix for fighting for that full title there, WBC. And then you also have the IBF title that will be up for grabs. You have the interim IBF champion, already, of course, Bruce Ennis, interim IBF champion. You got the WBA, Iamana Yotis is there at the top. And then, the WBO, we got to see what happens with the WBO, how they're going to sort itself out. But, with Conor Benn eventually getting back in the mix here coming up on Saturday, folks will see him in action first. And then after he faces Rodolfo Orozco, he goes there, gets the win. Then we'll see where he is going to continue his pro career, if it's going to be at 147 pounds or if he will be there at 154 pounds. So definitely do have that. But I'm just saying, like, man, it almost seems like it wasn't that long ago when Conor Benn got, caught with that positive test there for that potential fight against Chris Eubank, man. So it's like, I mean, geez, he's like, out there in the background, and then he's, right back in the paint. That's wild there. That's definitely wild. But definitely wanted to, get that through and, out of the way because that is, part of now an 8-fight card. Yep, it will be an 8-fight card in Orlando on Saturday night. And yes, this fight card will be broadcast live on the Zone as well. So for those that have the Zone, you'll be able to see that full fight card. You'll be able to see Conor Benn in action there against Rodolfo Orozco. And then also, like I said, you have Amber Williams fighting Steve Rolls. You're going to have Jessica McCaskill up against Sandy Ryan. And the main event, Richardson Hitchens against Jose Zepeda. That's going to be a pretty good fight there in the super lightweight division. And Richardson Hitchens will be going up against, a veteran there in Jose Zepeda. And he'll have a shot to, kind of like put himself out there as one of the serious contenders at 140 pounds if he is able to score an impressive win over Jose Zepeda. Now, we also have, on the schedule, coming up, or at least, something going down right now for those that, know about ProBox. ProBox TV is going down right now. They have fights that usually take place on Wednesdays over in Plant City, Florida. They do have it on right now on YouTube, or you could, hit it on the, ProBox TV app. Yes, they do have that. You're going to have Bader Yukumbayev against Hugo Rodon as the main event there in that fight card. Also, Clay Waterman faces Kareem Hackett for the WBA Intercontinental Light Heavyweight title. Both of those guys are undefeated at 11-0, so you might be able to get fairly close bout between those two combatants. You also have three other fights there on the card. You probably have what's going down right now. Kamar Bray against Ratavius Thrasher, and then you got Tristan Galadon versus Joseph Cole. So that's something for, of course, fight fans, for y'all to enjoy. Where you're definitely into fighting or watching boxing, all week or whatever it is, then you definitely have that. I know that there was fights on Monday. I think it was over in Japan. You had Junta Nakatani that was in action, and also I think you had you had Kenshiro Taraji against Heki Butler that was on Monday. For those that do have ESPN Plus, I think it is available still on ESPN Plus. For those that didn't catch it live, you should still be able to watch it. You said that the Kenshiro Taraji Heki Butler fight was a fairly good action fight for some that kind of watched it live. But Kenshiro Taraji is kind of like one of those fighters there in the light flyweight division. Flyweight, super flyweight, light flyweight, one of those guys that's a top level guy out there within that weight class or within those weight classes. So if you haven't seen Kenshiro Taraji in action, and you do have ESPN Plus, I think they still have that fight available for you to watch and for you to check out. But you have that, like I said, right now on the ProBox TV channel, whether you have YouTube or you have the app that will be on Roku or the Fire Stick, you'll be able to see ProBox TV here tonight as well. And then looking ahead to Saturday, I did mention the thing there with Conor Benn that will be in action on the fight card in Orlando, as he will be facing Rodolfo Orozco. That is a co-feature bout 2, Richard Hitchens versus Jose Zepeda. That will be live on the Zone. And then you also have on Saturday night a big heavyweight fight, a rematch. Joyce, Zhilei Zhang, interim WBO heavyweight title. And this will be in Wembley Arena. Zhilei Zhang was able to stop the juggernaut. He was able to stop the juggernaut. Joyce did not have any answer for the left hand of Zhilei Zhang. And I mean, Zhilei Zhang is, they're at 40 years old, but shoot, Joyce is there at 38 years old. So, I mean, it's not like, it's Joyce is like a spring, what do you call it, a spring chicken or anything like that. I mean, folks have known that Joyce is a guy that comes forward, very plotting, very methodical, but it's not like he, was really known for defense before this fight, anyway. So it was just about him, just being able to, be, I guess, tougher than his opponent and be able to wear them down. And Zhilei Zhang, he's very crafty there at the heavyweight division. Before that first fight against Joyce, he had fought Filip Hrgović, and that was, even though it was a unanimous decision for Filip Hrgović, there was a number of people that felt like Zhilei Zhang could have got the edge on that fight, just being straight up. And there's some felt like he should have scored at least one of those knockdowns in that fight. So Zhilei Zhang's definitely been one of those guys that's been floating around that middle of the pack, or around the top, top 10, top 15 in the heavyweight division. Just didn't up to the point of fighting Joyce, where he was able to get a shot against one of those top guys. So when he was able to defeat Joyce and stop him due to what Zhang was doing to the right eye of Joyce, that put Zhilei Zhang definitely back in the mix. And after that win, some were saying that maybe Zhilei Zhang could have had a shot against Tyson Fury for that WBC belt, but Joyce activated the rematch clause, and so now we're gonna see this fight here once again. And I'm like this: Joyce definitely cannot have another repeat of what happened in the first fight back in April. Like he, of course, was built to be, one of the big guys, one of the big threats out there in the heavyweight division. Of course, he had the background, his semi-pro background. Fighting in that, what is it, the World Series of Boxing or something. But had also just been in the amateur and semi-pro ranks for a good amount of time here before this particular point. So now, after scoring the win over Daniel Dubois, and we've seen what happened with Daniel Dubois, of course, against Alexander Usyk here recently. Some would think that Joyce would be like one of those serious contenders there for one of those world titles. But once he, faced Zhilei Zhang and ended up having that TKO loss, that really, really halted the momentum there of Joyce. And him being there at 6'6" with an 80-inch reach, but also Zhilei Zhang is 6'6", and we've seen in that first fight, Zhilei Zhang has a left hand that is a punch that really stalled Joyce. And when we saw that in the first couple of rounds, Joyce was pretty much like staggered or stunned by Zhilei Zhang. We were like, whoa, a number of people didn't expect that. And then we had to see, how he would be able to adjust to it. And Joyce was never able to adjust to it, was never able to adapt, didn't put his hands up, didn't put his, at least his right hand up. At least if you're going to, try to get through that fight, at least try to get through that fight with the jab and see if something else opens up. But he just didn't have his, left hand up, his right hand up, excuse me, while throwing a jab, and he just kept getting hit continuously with counters and didn't slip. Well, you really weren't going to get much of a slip from Joyce, but at least try to block the punch. You can't block punches with your face. That ain't gonna work. And it just ended up where his eyes was just getting really, really bad, and you had him, go out to the corner for the doctors to check on multiple occasions. And on one side he was able to get through it. On another side, even though he was able to see how many fingers the ringside doctor was holding up, the referee ended up stopping the bout anyway. So that at that time that was an upset of sorts. But now this time, I don't know. I really don't know how this one will basically turn out for Joyce, man. I'm kind of like leaning towards Zhilei Zhang getting the win here once again. I just feel like he just has enough to get past what Joyce does. The thing with Joyce is he doesn't have something that could really stall Zhilei Zhang, while Zhilei Zhang has something that could stall Joyce. But I don't know, man. It seems like this thing is a really kind of like feel iffy about the bout. For those that are looking into the books for it, what we got here on the tip on the Bet MGM, man, they got Zhilei Zhang as a minus 120 favorite and Joyce at a plus 100. On a three-way, a tie draw is plus 2,000. So those are still very close odds. On a two-way is Zhilei Zhang minus 125, Joyce at 105. But yeah, they really do not think that this fight will go the distance. It's scheduled for 12 rounds. Like I said, it's for the interim WBO heavyweight title. Of course, it would be the top spot in order to contend for the actual WBO title, currently held by Alexander Usyk. But man, it just seems like they're really leaning towards Zhang getting a win here once again, and getting kind of like favoring it being by stoppage once again. So unless there was something that really changed in the camp of Joe Joyce here over the past few months, I just don't see where he's going to, be able to stop that left hand once again, man. And the thing about it is that Zhang is a cagey veteran there in the heavyweight division, and he's able to figure out a way to land his left hand on his opponents. A number of times he's been able to be successful with that. Even though he's been in trouble in a few fights that he's had in the past, he still was able to get through it and be able to score wins, either that or score at least a draw. Of course, there against Jerry Force, but that particular fight, he had a big lead in that fight, but ended up losing a majority of the back rounds there, due to his stamina. So I think that was what Joe Joyce was banking on in the first fight, was that if he could get through those first 4, 5, 6 rounds, in the back half of the fight, he would have been able to eventually, wear down Zhang, have him huffing and puffing and all that type of stuff, and then eventually get him out of there in the late rounds, like round 8, 9, or 10, or something like that. But he was just getting caught early and getting caught often. So that plan looked like it was out the window. Here in this one, he's going to have to figure out a way to get through those few rounds and get away from that left hand, then be able to see what happens in the second half of the fight. Now, with Zhang, same story goes with him as far as like if he's going to be able to be there in the second half of the fight. In his fight against Filip Hrgović, man, he was holding, he was grabbing, he was holding, he was doing a lot of that. And by the time that particular fight was done, man, he was like slumped over the ropes there, just catching all types of wind. So thing about it is that if he could just either pace himself, or if he tries to go for the gusto early, he may be able to have that shot to win against Joe Joyce here once again. But like I said from the jump, this might be do or die for Joe Joyce. This might be do or die for Joe Joyce, because you had all that momentum going into that first fight against Zhilei, man, and for me, I just didn't feel like what was it that Joe, he really didn't have to take that fight. He was just there as the interim champion at first, and he was like sitting there as the top contender for that WBO title. So he could have waited to see what happened with Alexander Usyk, and once Usyk was able to get through his first mandatory, then see if he would have been the next in line. But he just went ahead and took that fight with Zhilei first, and we all saw what happened. Now he was the one that activated the rematch clause. He's the one that kind of like halted Zhilei from potentially getting a fight with Tyson Fury, or having a fight with Deontay Wilder or anything like that. So now he's gonna have to cash in on his rematch, and now we're gonna see what's gonna end up happening here, for Joe Joyce in this rematch against Zhilei. But like I said, man, looks like the books got Zhilei still favored in this, man, and I'm just not too that confident that Joe Joyce has done enough to really counter from him getting away from the left hand of Zhilei. But we'll see come Saturday. And also, like I said, You also have what's going on in Orlando with Richardson Hitchens versus Jose Zepeda. Richardson Hitchens, of course, is one of those young fighters that number of folks are looking out for, especially there in that particular division, that particular weight class, the super lightweight division. This will have like a number of those. What is it? The silver title for the WBC, the NABO title, and the North American title for the IBF. So this will, definitely put the winner in position to be one of those top 3 or 4 contenders for those different sanctioning bodies. And Richardson Hitchens is, a guy there, undefeated, 16-0, 7 KOs. He does, have uh, wins over like Argenis Mendez, Malik Hawkins, and also his last win was against undefeated Jaw Bowser. Pretty much got a clean sweep in that particular fight. So here now going up against a clear veteran in Jose Zepeda, world title challenger in Jose Zepeda. Of course, he's had a couple of tries to win the WBC title, but fell short against Jose Ramirez and then recently against Regis Prograis. So now he's going to try to build his way back into the mix there at 140 pounds, but he has to get past Richardson Hitchens. That's going to be definitely a real test for him, especially a guy there at Richardson Hitchens, who is there at 25 years old. So it's like 9 years younger than Jose Zepeda. And so, yeah, it's definitely going to be something for him to work towards. So we'll see how that turns out there. Like I said, it's going to be on the zone. So y'all will be able to catch it on the zone for those that have, that app, or, be able to, watch on your phone or watch it through, whatever you have, Roku or Fire Stick or whatever. You'll be able to check that out. But that's mainly the schedule there for this week in the sport of boxing. And that is quickly the midweek report here for September 20th. I was looking to see if there was going to be more updates in reference to the WBO rankings. They haven't put them up yet. Usually it's in the middle of the month that the WBO updates their rankings, but as of right now, I have not seen any updates on their rankings. So there's that. And then also wanted to catch up on something there when it came to the IBF super lightweight title. Of course, Super Matias is the IBF super lightweight champion. He does, have a mandatory challenger there in Zhang Ergashev. And, some folks were saying that, maybe that particular fight would take place in November. Now I've, heard some things reference to it, maybe being put to a different date. But, as of right now, we haven't necessarily had anything locked down as far as like a date as of yet. Reached out to the promoter for Zhang Ergashev to see if I can get an update on it. I haven't received any confirmation yet on that, at least as of now. So once I do receive that information, I'll be able to share that to y'all through the Twitter page, of course, at Boxing Source 2 on Twitter. For those, y'all can follow the Boxing Source at Boxing Source 2 on Twitter. And of course, you have what's going on here on the YouTube channel. Of course, we have our weekly discussions on Sunday nights, and like I said, the Midweek Report on Wednesday nights here. So you'll be able to check that out as well. And working towards securing interviews with William Foster III and also Albert Bell. So I'm going to see if I could lock those down here before next week, or at least a week's time. Because the midweek report for next week, I will see how we'll be able to do that, as that next week will be fight week for Canelo Alvarez and Jermell Charlo, and I will be in Vegas for that week, for that fight. So definitely we'll see how we can arrange that thing there for the midweek report if we could schedule that, because by the time I probably get all settled in, it will probably be about 10 p.m. Eastern time or something like that. But we'll see, how that goes there in the meantime. But outside of that, we'll see what we can do as far as like securing those other interviews that I mentioned, and then also catch up as far as like getting an update for that IBF super lightweight title fight that's supposed to be scheduled between Subriel Matias and Shojan Ergashev. But that being said, that is it for this midweek report. We'll be able to catch up with y'all later. And thanks for those that have caught up with all the news here in this particular midweek report, and also the previews that I talked about here for Zhilei, Zhang, and Joyce. But until next time, I'll catch y'all. Peace out.